What was that one moment Tom became Spider-Man? Iman Vellani was casted for Ms. Marvel just like that? Every MCU hero has a making of story, and you'll be surprised at just how different they all are. It took a long time to find the new MCU Spidey, even though Tom Holland was an obvious choice. The whole process took approximately 7 months and multiple rounds of auditions. Add that onto a whole lot of gymnastics training and the trampoline jumping that Tom just couldn't resist doing. He worked hard to get the role for sure, but you know when he really became a superhero? Marvel president Kevin Feige explained what that moment was. It's lifting the rubble and it has stuck with me my whole life. And from the moment I joined Marvel Studios, I was like, we should do that in the movies. Did Iman Vellani really just wake up one day and become Ms. Marvel? Not exactly, but thanks to her aunt, she submitted to a quite sketchy casting call for the title role on WhatsApp.
Is that not a scam?
I mean, it looks, yeah.
And keep in mind, she's fresh out of high school at this point, and she's a huge fan of Ms. Marvel, so any opportunity is a good one.
And then the next day I get a call, they're like, do you have a lawyer? We want to fly you to LA. And I was like, I have a math test, but can we we'll figure this out, okay?
She even dressed up as the superhero long before ever playing her in the MCU, so this was just a long time in the making. Comedy star Paul Rudd was not prepared for what it took to become a superhero. Having to really push himself to work out every day was rather different from his comedy movie repertoire. He was enormously shocked when Marvel execs approached him for the role, but something switched, and he was now Scott Lang's Ant-Man. He fit right in the superhero persona, saying, I certainly exercised and trained. Little carbs, no cookies, no alcohol. My suit was real. I'm a little biased, but I think it's the best looking suit. Florence Pugh had the director and producers on her side for the role of Yelena in Black Widow. The producers over at Marvel were shocked to know director Shortland threw Pugh at the top of the list because they found her to be the best as well. First time the two sides actually agreed on something for real. The producers loved her fighting side from her role in Fighting with My Family, and Shortland was obsessed with her performance in Lady Macbeth. Her reputation quite literally made her a hero. Evangeline Lilly was completely on board when Edgar Wright approached her and told her she'd be working alongside Paul Rudd in Ant-Man. Her becoming an MCU hero wasn't so easy as Rudd's, however. She actually almost dropped out due to Wright's departure from the film. It wasn't really even made apparent as to when she'd even don her costume, but she was sure ready to surprise her fans on Instagram when the time came. Ask and you shall receive. Just as Simu Liu did to become Shang-Chi, he was already respected in the film community, but it was going to take a whole lot more for him to get a shot at the hero role. He took it upon himself to convince Marvel on Twitter for the role, saying, okay at Marvel, are we gonna talk or what? After a brief phone call, Liu returned victorious. Thanks for getting back to me. Can you imagine being the first and only choice to play a superhero like Anthony Mackie? Well, he did kind of initiate the option to begin with, having his team pitch his superhero qualities to the MCU. The first he was going up for was the Mandarin in Iron Man 3, eventually going to Ben Kingsley, who knocked it out of the park. But he must have had a great entourage because it wasn't long after that they just gave him the role of Falcon in Captain America: Winter Soldier. Xochitl Gomez went through a long and arduous process for the role of America, a process that took several auditions over the course of months. Being that Multiverse of Madness is an important step in the MCU's timeline, casting had to make sure they found the perfect Supergirl. When Gomez finally made it to a test screening with Benedict Cumberbatch, she almost became so starstruck.
I was trying to literally play it cool. I was like, don't be a fan right now.
The rest involved a whole lot of kickbox training and stunt rehearsals. Easy, right? When the iconic Chadwick Boseman passed away, the future of Black Panther was uncertain. It was always made apparent that Letitia Wright would team up as an additional Black Panther later on, but now it was time for her to don the suit. She worked for months preparing for stunts and working out more than ever before. Those are quite big shoes to fill, and she did so in her own unique way. The MCU could not hold on to Oscar Isaac for Moon Knight. He was eager to film season 1, but had his contract end at that. Oscar wasn't sure how fans would receive it, and just did not want to overcommit to something that wouldn't be successful. He stated, "We all agreed that this show is what we are going to focus on. This is the story, and if there's any kind of future, I think it just depends on if people like it, if people want to see more, and if we find a story that's worth telling." How come there's like a million portals to jump through in the MCU for some actors? actors, but for others, it's just a sketchy WhatsApp flyer. Do you think you have what it takes to become the next MCU superhero? Let us know in the comments.